All right, let's dive into one of the most, well, explosive and influential books of the 20th century. I'm talking about Frantz Fanon's The Wretched of the Earth. This book is just, it's raw, it's uncompromising, it's all about colonialism, violence, and the fight for liberation. And let me tell you, its ideas are just as challenging today as they were 60 years ago. Decolonization is always a violent event. Wow. Right from the get-go, Fanon just drops this bombshell. He pulls absolutely no punches. And really, this is the central idea we're going to unpack together. For him, this wasn't just, a suggestion. It was a fundamental truth about how you dismantle oppression. So you have to ask, right? What on earth led him to such a radical, uncompromising conclusion? Okay, so to really get this book, you first have to get the man behind it and the absolute firestorm he was writing in. This wasn't some theory dreamed up in a quiet university library. No way. This was a voice forged in the heat of a brutal anti-colonial war. I mean, just look at his background. Fanon's life gave him this incredibly unique perspective. He was born in Martinique, which was a French colony. He trains as a psychiatrist in France, so he understands the human mind. He serves in the French army. And then, and this is crucial, he works as a doctor in Algeria right in the middle of its war of independence. Imagine that. He's treating both French soldiers who were torturers and their Algerian victims. So for him, this wasn't abstract theory at all. He saw the deep psychological scars of colonialism up close every single day. And that context is absolutely everything. You have to remember, The Wretched of the Earth was written in 1961. It wasn't written in a vacuum. It was a direct, fiery response to that brutal Algerian war. Think of it like a handbook and also a dire warning, written with this incredible urgency as the old colonial world was just violently tearing itself apart. So what was the core problem Fanon was trying to diagnose here? Well, he argued it was the very structure of the colonial world itself, a world that was intentionally and violently divided. See, for Fanon, colonialism wasn't just about planting a flag or having a foreign government in charge. Oh no. It was a machine of violence that invaded every single aspect of life. We're talking economic exploitation, wiping out local culture, and just this constant, dehumanizing threat of police and military force. And he had a name for this. He called it a Manichaean world. It's a fancy term for a world that's split into absolute good and absolute evil, pure light and pure dark. You could literally see it on a map. The colonizers' town is bright, clean, civilized, and the world of the colonized, it's painted as chaotic, dirty, and basically inhuman. This split isn't an accident. It's the entire justification for colonial rule. And can you imagine the psychological toll of living like that? It's devastating. It creates this deep trauma, this internalized feeling that you're worthless. Fanon, the psychiatrist, saw how all this oppression created this pressure cooker of suppressed rage, a dream not just to be free, but to flip the script and hold the power yourself. So, this brings us to the book's most famous and, let's be honest, most controversial argument. What's Fanon's prescription for this colonial disease? How do you possibly heal a world so broken by violence? I mean, let's just think through the logic here for a second. If a system is built by force and it's maintained by force, and its entire reason for being is domination, can you really just politely ask it to leave? Fanon's answer to that was a powerful, resounding no. His logic really follows a clear path. Step 1, the system is built on violence. Step 2, therefore, only violence can destroy it. But here's the deeper part. Step 3. For Fanon, the very act of fighting back is psychologically freeing. He literally calls it a cleansing force. It's what purges that feeling of inferiority and gives you back your dignity, your sense of self-worth. And this quote really gets to the heart of it. The struggle itself is what forges a new person. You're no longer just a passive object of history. You become an active agent, shaping your own destiny. So for Fanon, violence isn't the goal. Freedom is the goal. But in this brutal system, violence was the only path to get there. But Fanon wasn't just some starry-eyed revolutionary. Not at all. He was deeply, deeply worried about what happens the day after independence is won. And he laid out some warnings that are, honestly, maybe the most relevant part of his book for us today. He saw this huge danger on the horizon. Getting rid of the foreign ruler, that's just step 1. He warned that if you're not careful, the whole oppressive system can stay right where it is, just with a new person in charge. And Fanon had a specific name for this new group in charge. He called them the national bourgeoisie. And he saw them emerging right after the colonizers packed their bags. So who are these people? Well, they're the new native elite. They were probably educated in Europe, they've adopted the colonizers' values, and they basically just keep the same old exploitative economic system running. They become, in a way, middle managers for the West, enriching themselves and completely betraying the very people who fought and died for the revolution. And this gets to his final, crucial point. True decolonization isn't about swapping out one leader for another. It's not just about changing the flag on the pole. It demands a complete overhaul of the economy and society to actually serve the people, the wretched of the earth, not some new homegrown elite. So why does a book written over 60 years ago, born from the fire and fury of the Algerian War, still hit so hard today? Why does it still echo around the world? Let's take a look at its legacy. The influence of this book is just immense. It became a kind of Bible for liberation movements all over the planet. We're talking about inspiring everyone from Che Guevara in Cuba to Malcolm X in the Black Power movement in the United States. His ideas gave people a powerful, new language to describe their oppression and a framework for how to fight back. And his analysis is still incredibly sharp today. Those warnings about the national bourgeoisie, they help us understand what we now call neo-colonialism, where countries are politically independent but still economically trapped. His insights into the psychology of oppression, absolutely vital for understanding systemic racism. His call for a true, deep transformation continues to inspire movements fighting for global justice right now. In the end, Fanon leaves us with this powerful personal challenge. It's a call to action that reaches way beyond his own time and place. He forces every one of us to ask, what is our mission today? And in this ongoing struggle for a more just, more equal world, are we fulfilling it or are we betraying it? That's a question that feels just as urgent now as it did back in 1961.